What's going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Now, guys, we have less than 48 hours before we see one of the most implicative decisions that has probably ever been made for the world of crypto. Obviously, as many of you know, we are counting down the hours to the presidential election, leaving a ton of people wondering what in the world is going to happen, what's going to happen as a result of this election, where are we going to be in the short term, the midterm, the long term. And I was like, you know what? Since we are getting very close and I'm going to be traveling tomorrow back home, why not make a quick video finally giving my full-blown thought process of where I think that this market goes from here, what I think is going to happen, and much more. So with that in mind, let's get straight into it. Now, I will make it clear, I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this presidential election. My gut, for some reason, believes Trump's going to win, but I do believe that there's all types of things that can happen in this world. I think there's all types of strings that can be pulled. You just never really know, and that's why I don't believe that it's even, I don't think there is even really any way to truly know until it happens. And so because of that, I'm not talking about that in the video. I'm just going to talk about either, what happens in either direction, okay? What I will first and foremost say is that I believe that whatever you think is going to happen, the opposite is very likely to happen. So I do believe that if Donald Trump wins, even though we might get a short-term pump, and in the short term, I don't think that's going to last. And we actually might see this market cool down or pull back. And it might be some type of more extended pullback for maybe up to a week or 2 weeks or something of that nature. And the reason that I believe that is because I do think now that the crypto market has factored in Trump winning at least a little bit. I mean, we've been seeing all the poly market polls. We've been seeing all of the other polling that suggests that Donald Trump is in the lead. And as a result of that, the crypto market has been extremely excited about it. They've been very, under the belief that he's going to win. And as a result, we have seen, of course, the market do well. It's been sustaining well. I mean, if we do just look at what's going on in this market, you can see here, right? Bitcoin, although its price did pull back, it is sustaining. It's holding up well on top of that point of support that we've been talking about. And because of that, when you see stuff like this, whenever we go out to, our crypto, let's go to the visual screener, okay? And then let's go to our 24 hours. You can see as we get closer and closer to this election, a lot more people are entering in on their long trades and closing down their short trades right now. You look at something like the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, this bad boy is still sitting right around a 70, which is greed, right? People are confident. People are somewhat excited. They think Donald Trump is going to win. And as a result of that, I do believe that the opposite might happen. I think in a situation in which Donald Trump does win, we may see a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. Now, best case scenario is that we do get a pump before the pullback does happen because we do want to see that support I just showed you sustain. But quite frankly, there is no way of truly knowing. Now, this is the short term. Now, with Kamala Harris, I'm not very sure. I think everyone thinks that this market is going to absolutely tank if Kamala Harris wins, and I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think the market's going to pump if she wins, but I do think that it might continue to go sideways or maybe just gradually downward as a result of her winning because, again, people are... it has to, in my brain, right? It has to go down at least a little bit because so many people are factoring in and thinking that Trump's going to win. So it has to go down a little bit, but I don't think it crashes. I don't think we go to 40K or 45K like people are saying. I think it'll do the opposite of that. I think it'll just kind of go sideways. Again, maybe not the opposite because the opposite would be a pump, but I just don't think it's going to do what people think it's going to do. Because when I think about the short term of everything, I think, okay, if Trump, this is what people think. If Trump wins, market pumps. If Kamala wins, market crashes. And I just don't see that. I think if Trump wins, small pump maybe, sideways movement, consolidation. If Kamala wins, probably a little bit downwards, mostly consolidation. I don't actually think that we're going to see crazy big volatility as a result of this presidential election in the very short term. This market, again, will almost always do the opposite of what you think. It will almost always do the opposite of what you think, at least in the short term. Now, from a long-term perspective, that's where things are a little bit different to me, okay? From a long-term perspective, I do think that we are going to see higher liquidity. I think that we're going to see higher excitement, volume, and overall sentiment if Donald Trump does win over the long term. And we're talking about 6 months to a year and a half. Now, the reason that I say that is because realistically, when it comes to the crypto market in general, President Trump or President Harris won't really matter when it comes to, say, Bitcoin. The ETFs are going to continue as they're gonna. The retail is going to continue as it's gonna. Bitcoin's kind of away from all this. It's not even really all that impacted by the president anymore at this given point. Now, obviously, there are macroeconomic factors that will impact Bitcoin, like such as overall liquidity, right? Those are things. Quantitative easing, although they don't do it, they pull strings, don't get me wrong here. And so although Bitcoin will be, it will be impacted by those things, the actual president itself, the party itself that is kind of running things, not really going to have much of an impact on Bitcoin. But what it will have an impact on, and the reason why I do believe there will be overall more excitement, volume, hype, and sentiment in the crypto world is the altcoin market, right? Not only just the altcoin market, but the companies, right? You have to think about this from more of a business perspective. Are people going to be spending more money under the legislation that'll be getting dropped by Harris's cabinet or Trump's, right? Will the Harris administration be bringing us more and more legislation in a crypto-friendly environment more than Trump? Probably not. And so thinking about the fact that Trump's, under Trump, we're probably going to see much more legislation, easier regulations, things like that are going to make the crypto environment in the U.S. much more friendly. I would assume that the altcoin market and the market for different service providers and things like that will be substantially better under Trump, which again will impact a lot of the liquidity and a lot of the excitement, the hype and things like that. I think over the long term, we're going to see more of a constrained altcoin market, constrained liquidity, constrained hype, and it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've seen moments of hype throughout the last 4 years, even under Joe Biden. So it's going to happen, but it's not going to be as explosive and as exciting here in the U.S. specifically as it would be under Donald Trump. And so the way that I'm kind of wrapping my mind around this, and sorry, I'm kind of just throwing out my thoughts here to you. Let me kind of summarize it a bit. In the short term, I don't think this market's going to actually do too much. I think, sure, it may pump a little bit if Trump wins, but when everyone thinks that's going to happen, it usually doesn't. Not immediately. It might take some time. Think about whenever we saw the halving, right? Think about the halving, or even think about ETFs. Think about both of those. When the spot Bitcoin ETF dropped and whenever the halving happened, we saw the market go sideways or a little bit downwards prior to making the move to the upside. And I do think that's similar to what we would see if Donald Trump wins. In the short term, if Kamala Harris wins, I actually don't think this market's going to tank that much. We might get a big wick to the downside, so it might go down for a little while, but I do expect that it would recover well. And from there, we'll just have to figure it out. I'm honestly not quite sure what it looks like. What I do know is that I can't imagine that Kamala Harris's administration is going to be harder on crypto than Biden's. That doesn't make a ton of sense. So I do think Harris winning would actually put us in a better spot than we've been in for the last 4 years. But clearly, obviously, there's really no way of knowing. That's just a guess. Again, that's the short term. Over the long term, I do believe that we are going to see a lot more crypto-friendly environment. And I do think things are going to be much more exciting, especially here in the States. A lot more development, a lot more overall just growth and expansion here, which obviously would be huge for crypto. And I do think we would see the bull market be much more explosive if we do see Donald Trump win over the long term. And that is the reason why I personally am looking to see, okay, even in the short term, if Donald Trump wins, if things don't explode, I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to worry too much because I do think it will take a little bit more time for some of this legislation to come through, for his administration to implement the things that he said he would, which obviously could create a much more friendly environment that, brings more investment, more institutions, and more overall liquidity. So those are my thoughts. Obviously, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to have discussions with you down there. Guys, please remember, I am removing my own political beliefs from this conversation, and I'm quite simply just telling you what I think from a crypto perspective. I've been in this market for 5 years. This is the third cycle that I've been a part of to some degree, and because of that, I'd like to just give you all my insight. So please do let me know, and don't forget, this is a brand new channel. We're not even 3 months old yet, and if you could subscribe to the channel, if you could like this video, it does help out an absolute ton. I have a link down there to Margex down below if you do want to do some trading this week. I don't highly recommend it, but if you do want to do it, it is down there for you. You'll get up to $10,000 in bonuses. I also have a Patreon. Feel free to check it out. And again, I'll talk to you all down in the comments below. Peace out, everybody.